Welcome to this Easy 11 Plus short lesson on finding the shaded area in a complex figure. If you find this lesson useful, please like, subscribe and click the bell button. Don't forget that the worksheet is linked in the description for this video, and I really recommend that you have a go at the questions before you watch the rest of this lesson. My live lessons are every Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock in this channel. Let's get started. Here we have a typical question type. It isn't too complex, you just need to have a nicely systematic way of thinking about it. You can see that we've got a square here, and we know that this square has side length b, and that means that this side must also be length b, because it's a square. And we know that this white area in the square, left outside the triangle, is 41 centimeters squared. Now, if we knew the complete area of the square, we'd be able to work out b, because b times b will give the area of the square. But we don't yet know that value. So what can we do with this triangle? Well, we know that length a is 4 centimeters. And here's length a here, so let's label that as 4. I won't bother writing centimeters in this case, but just because of space. Now, you may not remember how to find the area of a triangle, but what you can do very easily is find the area of a square like this. So the area of this square, make that a little bit better there, would be 4 times 4, which is 16 centimeters squared. And this triangle occupies half of that square. So the area of the triangle must be 8 centimeters squared. I know I'm writing centimeters squared in some places and not in others, but you get the idea. It's just my labeling to make my working out clear for me, just as you will do in an exam. Now, of course, this might remind you of the formal method for finding the area of a triangle, which is half times the base times the height. And that's the formula for the area of a triangle. So in this case, the base is 4, so half of that is 2, and 2 times the height, which is 4, gives us 8, which is the answer we've already got down here. Now, if the area of the white part of the square is 41 centimeters squared, and the area of the blacked out part of the square is 8 centimeters squared, add them together, we get 49 centimeters squared. So the area of the entire square is 49 centimeters squared. Now, we know that b times b gives us the area of the square. Oops. Therefore, we can write that b times b equals 49, and b times b, as I'm sure you know, you can also write as b squared, or that doesn't really make any difference. B squared equals 49, so b is going to be the square root of 49. That may look complex, but all we're saying is if b times itself equals 49, what number times itself would also equal 49? That's what we mean by the square root. And of course, that's going to be 7, because 7 times 7 is 49. So b must be 7 centimeters. Remember, we use centimeters for length and centimeters squared for area. So that's the answer, and it's quite simple if you work through it systematically. Now let's push on to the next one, which is a little bit more challenging, I think. The shaded section of the following diagram has an area of 51.5 centimeters squared. So it would be sensible to start off by writing that in. How can this help us? Well, we know the length of both sides of this square, 8 and 8. And that must mean that the area of the entire square is 8 squared, which equals 64. So the area of the whole square is 64 centimeters squared. And if the area of the whole square is 64 centimeters squared, and the area of the shaded bit is 51.5 centimeters squared, then we can find the area of this quarter circle in the corner. So the area of this part here is 12.5 centimeters squared. Now, I've done everything that I possibly can with this diagram up here before I've really got lost in this one down here. because by the time I've been thinking about both, I'm going to have an awful lot of information knocking around my head and it may just be confusing. But I know from the structure of this question that everything I can find out about this is going to prove useful down there. And so that minute or so spent in an exam finding out those bits of information is going to be invaluable, whatever happens next. Now let's find out. So we need to find the total area of the shaded sections in the following diagram. Well, we can see straight away that all the shaded sections are outside these two big circles. What else can we see? Well, 16 centimeters runs the entire length of this rectangle. And that length is made up of the diameters, that's the diameter, of two circles. So each of these diameters must be 8 centimeters. And because these are circles, that must be the same in this direction as well. And that tells us the height of the rectangle. So with that information, we can find the area of the entire rectangle, which is surely going to be useful to us in one way or another. So let's do a quick calculation. So the area of the whole rectangle is 128 centimeters squared. Now, as we can see, all the shaded areas, as we've mentioned, are outside the circles. So what happens if we take the area of the rectangle and get rid of the areas of the circles? But we don't know the areas of the circles. Yes, we do. Because if we go up here, we can see that a quarter circle here has an area of 12.5 centimeters squared. So the complete circle here must have an area of 4 times that. 2 times 12.5 is 25, 4 times 12.5 is 50. So if we take the area, oops, that shouldn't be double underlined because it isn't the answer. If we take the area of the entire rectangle, which is 128, and we take away the areas of the two circles, then we have the area of all the parts outside the two circles. How can we get from this to the answer? Well, actually, it's quite simple. Look at this part down here. That part must have an identical area to this part up here. So we can simply imagine that we take this bit here, drag it around the outside, and drop it there. And then we can see that we have effectively shaded all of the bits outside the circles above the line that divides it in half diagonally, and below that line now nothing is shaded. So if the total area of all those parts outside the circles is 28 centimeters squared, we just need to half that to find the shaded area. 28 divided by 2 equals 14 centimeters squared. And that's our answer. So when you get a question like this, don't panic. Don't even worry about exactly how you're going to find the answer in the end. Take each bit of information that you're given, apply it, work out as much as you can using that information, and then see how you can apply it to the next stage. And if you just do that carefully and systematically, you'll usually find that the correct answer pops out at the end. I hope that's helpful. If it was, please like, subscribe, click the bell button, and I hope you'll be back here next Tuesday at 6 o'clock for my next Easy 11 Plus live lesson in this channel. Bye-bye.